The biblical year, working season, resting season, and Jesus' fig tree teaching. Peace to the remnant. Today I'm speaking what the Holy Bible says about the biblical year. The beginning, the middle, the end, and the resting period that Jesus himself acknowledged. No theology, no tradition, just scripture and the land. The Bible does not use the Roman calendar. The Bible does not use January through December. The Bible uses the land of Israel as the calendar. Let's start with the beginning of the year. Exodus 12:2 says, "This month shall be unto you the beginning of months." But God didn't point Moses to the moon. God pointed Moses to the land. And in Exodus 9:31, the barley was already in the ear, already in Aviv. So the biblical year begins when the barley reaches Aviv. In modern terms, that happens around March or April. Now let's look at the end of the year. Exodus 23:16 calls the Feast of Ingathering the end of the year. Exodus 34:22 says the same thing. Ingathering happens when the harvest is brought in. In modern terms, that is September or October. So the biblical year is a working year. From Aviv to ingathering. From March or April to September or October. Now here's the part most people miss. What about the other months? What about November, December, January, February, and early March? The Bible calls that period winter, the resting season of the land. Jesus himself acknowledges this. In Matthew 24:20, Jesus says, "Pray that your flight be not in the winter." Why? Because winter is the time when the land rests. Nothing grows. Nothing is harvested. The fig tree is bare. The barley is dormant. The wheat is dormant. The vines are resting. The land is still. Jesus is acknowledging the biblical agricultural cycle. Now listen how Jesus completes the picture. In Matthew 24:32, he says, when the fig tree puts forth leaves, you know that summer is near. Fig leaves appear in March or April, the same time barley reaches Aviv. That is the beginning of the biblical year. Summer fruits come in during May, June, July, and August. The middle of the biblical year. The final figs and the final harvest come in during September and October, the end of the biblical year. And from November to early March, the land rests, the resting year, the biblical winter. So Jesus' fig tree covering covers the working year. And Jesus' winter warning covers the resting year. Together they reveal the entire biblical cycle. Aviv to ingathering equal working year. Ingathering to Aviv equal resting year. Beginning, middle, end, and rest, all defined by the land, not the moon. This is the biblical year. This is the covenant year. This is the year Jesus taught. This is the year Moses taught. This is the year the land reveals. I'm Augustus, speaking what is written.